today, Jordan's first refeed day. So we'll go eat after training and then we're gonna head to the lab. We're gonna scan him on the DEXA machine to see how he's tracking for 2.5 weeks out.
You've come at the perfect time.
Yeah, so this is Jordan's first refeed. This is on the back of 5 low days. Today, so for his first day of his refeed, he'll up his carbs to 360 grams. So usually what he'll do is we'll allocate most of the carbohydrates around his training window. So he doesn't have 2 sessions a day, he just has his weights, and then this is the first week we've added 15 minutes of steady state cardio after his training. So we don't have to sort of plan about distributing the carbs all throughout the day because he's only in the gym once a day.
Maybe giving you about 100 grams of delicious carbs pre-workout.
Jordan normally eats this on his low days pre-training as well. The only thing we're sort of manipulating is the portion sizes that he's going to have. So more oatmeal and more of these sort of added little tasty bits on top. I guess the benefits of having a flexible dieting approach as opposed to just having a really strict meal plan of what you'd consider to be clean foods is you can work in some little bit of tastier food here and there as long as the sort of the portions and the overall macronutrient intake throughout the day is controlled. We do, at this point, because we're only 3 weeks out from the show, we don't introduce any new food groups or any new food sources. So like cereals, he's been having that for like the sort of the last 6 to 8 weeks. He's been having the oats for the last 6 to 8 weeks. So nothing's sort of getting thrown in. There's no new variables that are going in. We know that we drop a good amount of fat when we're eating these sort of foods, so we just keep that consistent. So even though you'd be considered to have like a flexible diet where any sort of foods are on the table and we're not banning any foods, we do keep the intake fairly consistent.
This is definitely my favourite meal of the day. So quick oats, reason quick and not the big ones, obviously faster digesting, they're already broken down. I've put 2 types of protein in here, a whey protein isolate and a casein custard, which Jackson also got me onto because I saw it on his story and I couldn't help myself. The reason I add this in, although like casein is slower digesting, it adds more of like a thickness and a different texture to the food. And by changing the textures of your food, as Jackson was saying, to do with satiety, it's a little bit of like a psychological trick. It obviously volumizes it, it just makes it quite different when you're eating it. Like this meal has evolved over so many years when we first realized in the beginning that you can mix oats with whey protein and you can have it as simple as that. So obviously each time that I'm cooking it and stirring it, there are egg whites in here as well. So they are obviously slightly volumizing the whole thing as well. You don't just want to put it in there for 2 minutes, otherwise it'll turn into like chunks of scrambled egg. And it's not very nice. It all has to do with your mindset associated with food. I mean, obviously when I first started getting into competing 6-7 years ago, I was on the most strict, bland, it was a blood type diet. That was the first coach that I ever had and the last until I became a coach myself. The diet was just so painful and strict that it wasn't sustainable. And although like I stuck to it for the preparation of the competition, my lifestyle was miserable. I was having cravings, and then like you see with a typical bikini competitor, after the competition, when they get that freedom and they're off that strict diet, they completely rebound and cave into all the foods that they weren't able to eat during their dieting phase. So for me, now even though I'm dieting, I can still eat whatever I like. I have full flexibility in my food choices. I don't crave to go out and eat big fatty meals and burgers, and like I still get to have ice cream, I still get to have little cereals and cookies and things, so I can stick to this diet forever. All that I'm doing is controlling the quantities and tracking it. That is the only, not downside, I guess it's the only catch. You have to know exactly the amounts that you're eating, and that it's all within the protocol that Jackson is setting for me each week.
Won't work for everybody. Sometimes having something with like cereal and honey and maple syrup can just cause this sort of insatiable level of hunger where they're just going to want to have 5 more bowls, and sometimes it can be a wiser strategy to just sort of keep to the plainer, less tasty foods that aren't going to sort of stimulate your hunger too much. But it's heavily contextual for some people. Having this treat within moderation will facilitate sort of better adherence and better sticking to the plan later on in the day.
Absolutely.
So you sent us some questions about what you wanted to see us cover in the vid. Grim Junior Official said, "Love your page. Check my music, let me know what you think." So thanks for that, mate. Alright, this one's for you, Jordan. What are you looking forward to in the coming months?
Well, I mean, I'm 2 weeks out from the comp. This is the first time that I've competed now in like 5 years, so I'm looking forward to getting back on stage and showing off what we've been working so hard for. Food, more food, the ability to relax. I'm on such a tight schedule as well.
How far out should you be in comp condition to allow for a proper carb up? So this is from Hayden, one of my other clients. Ideally, you'd want to be bang on the money a week out, I think, if you're gonna, if you want to maximise the potential to saturate glycogen and sort of maximise fullness. The reality is not many people are bang on it a week out, and more often than not, they'll be able to improve their stage look just by grinding for another week to get a little bit more fat off, as opposed to leaving the fat on and trying to push muscle fullness somewhat. Right, I've got another one, good one, from El Jarvis. Caloric intake, how low is too low when dieting? This is highly contextual and depends heavily on the individual. Like, a lot of people like to bring up the energy availability issues with bodybuilders and say, like, when you're on a certain amount of calories per kilo of body weight, that's dangerous, and you're going to be susceptible to symptoms of chronic low energy availability and sort of all those sort of disruptions that come along with it, and you shouldn't go below that certain level of calories. You're just not going to be able to put a figure on it, obviously, just because calories are a function of how large the person is and how much tissue they carry, but also because knowing how too low should be a function of how much weight you're losing each week. So if you're quite lean and you're losing over 1% of your body weight per week, then you could arguably say that your calories are too low. But if you're in the tail end of a prep and you're not dropping weight, you've plateaued and your skin folds aren't changing or your visuals aren't changing too much, it doesn't really matter where your caloric intake's at that point, because it's just going to have to get lower to get continued progress. So I don't really set a limit and say, well, we're not going below that because it's dangerous. It's just going to be a function of, are we progressing at the right rate? And if we're not progressing at that right rate, we need to go lower from wherever we're at. Made into a Super Saiyan from Dragon Ball Z. It's got my tattoo on my arm there. It's got my necklace.
Would they turn me into Mega Man?
They probably could.
So
The last of the Saiyans alongside Goku and Vegeta. I've cooked my car.
yeah, put some protein in there.
I know things about nutrition, but I don't know much about cars. Whoa. Getting to the lab now. Jordan's doing his follow-up DEXA scan for the diet break study that he was in a few months back. We're going to use that scan that he has to do to also see how much body fat he's carrying at the moment, with about 2 weeks out from the state show. And we're also going to compare it to his scan that he had about 4 months ago at the end of the diet break study, to see how much fat-free mass or lean mass we've retained while we drop the fat.
I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see how much fat I actually have left on my body. When's the last scan that we did? Probably about 6-7 weeks ago.
Yeah, I reckon it would be about 3 months ago.
Right, and at that stage I think I had like something like 6.5 kilos of fat left on my body. Into the lab.
This is my DEXA badge. This absorbs the radiation coming out of the DEXA machine. So every few months, the guys at the uni, they take these away and re-measure them, just to make sure we're not getting like any dangerous levels of radiation exposure. You can lay on your back, head up this end, just below the cross. So we're going to do this scan, this is a follow-up test, and we're going to compare it to his results at the end of the diet break study. So it's going to be a full body scan. I'm just going to position it now to the top of his head. Start from the top of his head, and then it's going to work his way down so it scans the whole body. And it's just shooting down the low-grade X-ray down into his skin, down into his body, and then bouncing back up. So what you'll see, the scan goes for about 7 minutes, and this is Bradley just going to produce an image based on the X-ray of his full body, and it's going to look something like that. So this is his X-ray or his scan from his last assessment.
Jackson's just doing another DEXA scan now, so we're going to go for a nice walk outside and take this opportunity to answer some of the questions that you guys have sent in through the Instagram poll that we did. I see you grinding, keep it up, thank you. Shredded as, thank you. How long have you been training? Probably since I was about 17 years old. Thoughts on cereal post-workout? Nothing wrong with it. I would just say make sure that you're adding a protein source in as well. Do you do online coaching? Jackson and I both do online coaching, yes. When you're calorie deficient leading up to your comp, how do you stay mentally strong? It's by having a why, having a goal at the end of it. I put it into perspective like when a woman falls pregnant with a child and they are restricted from drinking alcohol and eating certain foods. How are they able to do that and stay focused and not cave? It's because they have a goal and a vision at the end that's so important that keeps them focused. They have that why. Just finished our DEXA scan, now we're going to head off to Tao, which is one of our favourite Japanese places for a post-workout feed.
We go to Tao because we know exactly the portion sizes that they use. They weigh it at the back, so we'll know exactly how many grams of rice he's going to get, and he's also going to have some tuna sashimi, which is super lean protein, and we'll just weigh that out. That'll be him set, and I'll just get a pretty standard chicken and rice meal as well for me. Just while we're eating, we'll check out his DEXA scan results. Right, so the last scan we did for you in December, you were 6.8% body fat, with 5.9 kilos of body fat on you.
Right.
And today's scan, we're down to 5.8% body fat, so we've lost 1% body fat.
Wow.
And we're 5.1 kilos of body fat now. Now realistically, you peeled, shredded to the bone, would probably be somewhere around 3.5 kilos of body fat. There's probably like redlining as best we can go.
Right.
So realistically, we've probably only got 1.5 total kilos of body fat that we can drop.
Okay,
to get ready to roll.
And we are still 2 weeks out from the Perth show, and in total about 6 weeks out from Melbourne, so we
Yeah.
have time.
So
What's the lowest that we can take my fat before I die?
Probably 3 kilos is like the essential levels of body fat, just for like cell membranes and
Yeah.
with, brain protection and things like that. Like you need those essential amounts of body fat just to stay alive.
So will get me to 3 kilos then,
That's the
yeah?
plan. We'll try to get you as lean as we can before killing you. Most likely what the plan will be is just to keep digging until the Perth show, so like that's
Yeah.
2 fat loss weeks up our sleeve, then see where we are at that for Perth show. Like probably won't play around with peak week too much for that show. We'll just go in like quite flat but really peeled and dry, and then that period between state show to Arnold's, assuming that they're going to be down around that 3.5 kilos of body fat, then we can just work on sort of maximising muscle fullness and things like that, and having like a nice carbohydrate load into the show.